Well, more than 3 million Syrians have fled their country since 2011 and entered Turkey. Many are living in refugee camps along the borders, but many have used Turkey as a bridge to Europe. So many, in fact, that Europe was confronted with an unprecedented migrant and refugee influx last year. You may remember Germany took in 1 million refugees. Well, it was in March of this year that the European Union and Turkey reached an agreement designed to stop the flow of refugees to Europe. Turkey agreed to take back basically all refugees in Greece. In return, the EU agreed to pay billions to Turkey. Well, this was all before the attempted military coup last month. Now, it appears that for Turkish President Erdogan, all bets are off. The rules have all been changed. Erdogan seems convinced Europe and the U.S. were secretly hoping that the coup would succeed. Now, keep in mind that a Turkish cleric and arch-enemy of Erdogan, Fethullah Gulen, lives in the U.S. He is in self-imposed exile there. Erdogan accuses Gulen of masterminding the coup, and he is demanding Washington extradite the cleric to Turkey. Washington says it needs evidence before anyone is extradited. The rule of law, not the rule of Erdogan. Take a listen to how Erdogan explained the situation to a group of investors today.
You asked for so many terrorists to be returned. We did not request documents for terrorists that you wanted returned. We said, if the US wants this terrorist from us, and if this person is jailed in our prisons, let him be sent back.
All right, we want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Turkey, and to do that, I'm joined by Harun Armagan. He is a member of the ruling AKP. He joins us from Istanbul, and Mahir Zeynalov. He is a correspondent in Washington, D.C. for today's Zaman newspaper. It's a newspaper that was taken over by the Turkish state earlier this year and closed last week. Good evening to both of you, gentlemen. I want to start with what President Erdogan said today in front of a group of investors. He said, and I'm quoting, "We are not a country that can be bossed around." Harun, I'll start with you. Do you know who he is referring to? Who is bossing around Turkey?
Well, let me start by correcting that in your footage you were saying that this is rule of Erdogan instead of rule of law. That's totally not acceptable, and it's nonsense. Turkey is a constitutional democracy, and then we have a law, we have regulation that actually sets certain limits for every individual, and whoever steps out this individual, there's a judicial process, just like in other country. And when a judicial country works in a country, for example, in Germany, we don't call it's the Angela Merkel's crackdown or Angela Merkel's rule. We say it's judiciary.
It's called the rule of law, but if you have a state of emergency, those rules are, of course, no longer enforced. And so the question, let me get back to the question, though, Harun. Who is the president referring to today? Who is bossing Turkey around?
So when you mention about state of emergency, France has state of emergency for the last 8 months. Munich, after the attack in Germany, had state of emergency. So when this happens, did you break out all the rules, or you have no law when you have state of emergency? Our justice minister in Turkey stated that there will be no problem, no issue, no conflict about practicing rule of law in Turkey just because we have a state of emergency. We have state of emergency because there has been a terrorist attack to Turkey. Turkish parliament was bombed. Over 200 people killed in streets. If this is not state of emergency, what is state of emergency?
But Mahir, let me ask you about this. Who is Mr. Erdogan referring to when he says that we're not going to be bossed around?
No,
well, Turks love conspiracies, and Erdogan is tapping into the fears of the Turkish people by saying that there are global links, and he actually said today that the coup attempt was written abroad. So he's just referring to CIA, to the United States, to other European countries, and just pushing the United States to extradite the Islamic cleric Gulen. So it's just a conspiracy that he cannot back up with evidence. He's just, bossing around the other countries rather than other countries bossing around Turkey.
Harun, what do you say to that?
Nonsense.
Do we have the evidence?
This is totally nonsense. It seems that your guest over on the other side does not follow what President Erdogan tells in his speech. He was clearly making the point that he wants to see his support stronger, in a stronger way from our allies, from United States and our allies in NATO. We had a terrorist attack in our country, that our parliament was bombed. Innocent men, children, and women were killed in the street. We would like to see Angela Merkel, we would like to see other leaders from around the world in Turkey in next day to show the support, just like the world did the same support in the United States after 9/11. Or the terrorist attack in Paris. Our prime minister was on street in Paris when Paris had an attack, terrorist attack from ISIS. So we wanted to see the same thing. And President Erdogan is clearly making the statements what actually people in Turkey think. They think that the West does not support, it does not show the support. International community does not show the support when Turkey had such a big tragic attack. And
Mahir, let me ask you. Okay, Harun, let me let Mahir have a point. Harun, 1 second. Let me let Mahir respond to that. Go ahead, Mahir.
Well, what we have at the moment is the confessions by tortured military officers. And this is not the first time the Turkish president is blaming Western countries for economic travails, for Turkey's problems. During the anti-government, Harun, wait a minute, please. During the anti-government Gezi protest, the Turkish president and his chief aide blamed Lufthansa for Germany, the United States, Israel. They blamed the CIA. I mean, these are the conspiracy theories. If you have evidence, just back it up with the evidence. If you don't have evidence with allegations, you cannot just blame every country in the world. They just say that the Saudi Arabia is behind, Israel is behind, and you by pointing out all these allegations. Wait a minute, please. By these allegations,
Mahir, when you make
wait a minute, please. By these allegations, you just
expand. I'll let you speak, Harun. 1 second.
Purge.
Okay, Mahir, finish your statement, Mahir, and then I'll let.
Wait a minute. Harun, I respect you. I listen to you. Please listen to me. By these allegations, they expanded the purge and the crackdown, and the numbers are jaw-dropping. 90,000 people were purged. They were sacked. They were fired. More than 20,000 people were jailed. If anyone involved in that coup attempt, go and give the heaviest punishment. But why are you purging teachers and doctors and soccer referees? I mean, this is unacceptable. It seems that the failed coup attempt is bad as what a successful coup attempt would be.
Let him respond. Mahir. Go ahead, Harun.
First of all, we have international agreements in our law. We have an agreement with the European Constitutional Court. We do not let anything that can happen like torture or violence that can be used in our court. People have lost their life for democracy. They put their life to keep their constitution and democracy. Do you think we would tolerate any method that's against our constitution, against our democracy? Your allegations are nonsense. You are talking about nonsense. You have no
he's talking about, Harun, he's talking about the 60,000 people who have lost their jobs or been suspended. What about those people?
Yes, Belt. I will come to that point, but when you're in United States, when you have no base, just because your affiliated organization was into a terrorist organization, you cannot say there are tortures. You have to show evidences. And our Justice Minister, Belt, just made a statement that the allegations are unfounded, and they also invited European Union or human rights counselors in Turkey to watch this judicial process more transparently. We have to understand this point very well.
Harun, do you want evidence? I will give you the evidence. Do you want evidence?
Okay, 1 second. Harun, okay, you have to let people respond. Yes. Harun, it's not a monologue. Let's let Mahir respond.
Harun, listen.
My point. I'm sorry,
Harun,
but I haven't made my point yet.
But we don't have 20 minutes.
Just let me make this point very well. We are fighting two terrorist organizations at the same time, ISIS and terrorist PKK. None of them was able to attack Turkish parliament. This terrorist group attacked Turkish parliament and killed more than 200 people on streets. They were women, men, and children under the tanks. There were fighter jets bombing Turkish parliament and other government buildings. So can you please tell me, when the tragedy, is so high, why the numbers of detainees are making surprise?
Okay, Harun. Let's let Mahir come in now.
It's a terrorist organization.
Harun, could you? Harun, 1 second,
listen.
please. Let's let Mahir speak. Go ahead, Mahir.
Harun, look, you called my newspaper a terrorist organization. You called me a terrorist. Look, I'll tell you one thing, okay? I know nothing than journalism. I have always done my journalism. All these people, hold on a second, all these people killed on the streets, we have the most sympathy toward them. They were fighting for democracy. We understand that, and we supported the civilian government. We journalists supported the civilian government on July 15. And you talk about evidence of torture. I will give you the evidence of torture. The state-run Anadolu News Agency shared the photos of tortured military officers. You cannot deny that. Amnesty International said there's a credible evidence that those military officers were tortured. This is not me saying. This is the state-run Anadolu News Agency published photos of those tortured military officers.
One second. We're running out of time.
Are you such an expert?
Arun,
Are you
no,
such an expert?
Arun,
When you look at the picture, you
we can't
understand
have
the
a
physical
conversation
treatment.
if you
Mahir,
can't.
you talk nonsense, but let me make this point
One
very
second,
clear, Mahir.
one second.
I don't have any personal problem
We're
with
running out of time. I wanted to ask you guys a final question.
I'm just saying, whoever involves this infiltrating
Let me ask my
process
producer
into
how much time
government
we have.
and who tries to total down the government.
Jason, my producer,
government
could you
should
let me
be
know how much
punished.
time we have? Okay, good. Thank you.
Let's just
Okay,
like that.
all right, let me ask you, because we're running out of time. I've just found out
Yes,
we've got a
please.
couple more minutes. What about what President Erdogan has said regarding the migrant deal with the European Union? He has said in the last couple of days that the EU has not paid the money it promised, and that he also is willing to open the floodgates and to let the refugees head for Europe again. Is that something
Yes,
that you could support?
Look, we as Turkey, we always honor our international agreements, and for the refugees, Syrian refugees, before we made the deal, we have spent so much money and we put so much effort to protect those people. And Europe, with the agreement with European Union, we have done what we are supposed to do already. But European Union was postponing every little step that they didn't want to take the initiative. And I think the crisis in European Union probably making this hard for European Union to follow its
what's your
agreement.
answer, though,
Then
to
it's
that?
not our duty.
What's your
No, I mean,
answer,
we
Arun?
have to-
Do you support what President Erdogan has said, the ultimatum?
I'm just saying that it is very understandable when two parts are in agreement and one part does the agreement and the other part doesn't follow the agreement. I don't think it would continue a healthy way. This is very simple.
The German foreign minister said today that all parties in the agreements, the migrant agreement, know what they agreed to, and it's public knowledge. And he implied that Europe has done what it's promised to do. We've been told that the fear is...
Apparently not.
Well, it's the anti-terrorism laws that the EU wants Turkey to change, and they have not been changed. Is there a possibility that they will be changed with a post-coup attempt Turkey right now that we're seeing?
The condition about terrorism is different. We are fighting two terrorist organizations at the same time. We have a country next to us that is totally in civil war. The ISIS is just next to us. When you talk about terrorism, you have to understand the condition that Turkey is in. And recently, we have another terrorist organization called Fethullah Gülen terrorist organization. This group tried to infiltrate into government.
We're going to have to wrap it up there.
So
we're going to have to wrap it up there, gentlemen. Both of you. I want to thank you both. Harun Armagan, a member of the AKP, and Mahir Zeynalov, a correspondent in Washington, D.C. Both of you, gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.